Fire raged around Pride Rock. The hyenas had turned on Scar, their snarls echoing through the chaos. Simba, battered but victorious, stood over his defeated uncle. Scar coughed, his body weak from the battle. "Simba, please," he rasped. "Have mercy." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then the hyenas lunged. But what if Scar had escaped? What if he had survived that night? This is the story of a darker Pride Lands, a kingdom ruled by shadows, and a battle that never truly ended. The night roared with fire and fury. Hyenas, once Scar's most loyal followers, now turned on him with feral hunger. Their teeth gleamed in the eerie glow of the flames, their growls vibrating through the air. Scar knew he had only moments. His body ached from the battle with Simba, but sheer desperation fueled him. As the hyenas lunged, Scar twisted his weakened frame and leapt. His paws barely touched the edge of Pride Rock before his body plunged into the inferno below. For a moment, he disappeared, swallowed whole by the fire. The hyenas, seeing no way he could have survived, cackled in satisfaction. They believed the tyrant was gone. But Scar was not dead. He hit the ground hard, rolling through the burning grass. Every nerve in his body screamed, but he gritted his teeth and forced himself forward. The fire clawed at him, searing his fur and singing his once proud black mane. The pain was unbearable, but death was not an option. Scar staggered, his vision blurred by smoke and heat. Every breath felt like swallowing embers. His limbs were weak, trembling beneath him, but his mind was clear. He had to survive. He had to survive. Crawling through the thick haze, he spotted a break in the cliffs. A ravine, hidden beneath the towering rocks that bordered the Pride Lands. With the last of his strength, Scar dragged himself inside, the fire's glow dimming behind him. Inside, it was cold, silent, a grave of forgotten things. Scar collapsed against the jagged stone walls, his breath ragged. His body was broken, his kingdom was lost. But as he lay there, feeling the wounds scorch his flesh, one single thought burned hotter than the fire that had nearly taken him. This was not the end. Simba had won the battle, but the war was far from over. Scar would return. Days passed. Scar remained hidden in the darkness of the ravine, licking his wounds and regaining his strength. He had no food, no water, only the bitter taste of his own failure. His mane was ragged and burned, his body frail and scarred. He was a shell of the king he had once been. But Scar had never relied on strength. His true power lay in his mind. He had survived against impossible odds before, outwitting Mufasa, manipulating the hyenas, seizing the throne. He would do it again, and so he crawled out of the ravine. The Pride Lands were no longer his, but the world beyond. That was unclaimed. That was his new kingdom. The outlands stretched before Scar like a wasteland of forgotten souls. The cracked earth beneath his paws was dry and lifeless, the sun merciless against his battered body. His ribs jutted out, hunger gnawing at his insides, but he forced himself forward. He had not survived the fire just to die in the dust. Days turned to weeks. The Pride Lands were a distant memory, a golden kingdom lost to him. But out here, in the barren unknown, something stirred. Scar was no fool. He knew that no lion could rule alone. If he was to reclaim his throne, he needed power, and power came with numbers. Then, one evening, as the blood-red sun sank beneath the horizon, he heard them. Voices, low and growling. Scar dropped to his belly, ears flicking forward. He crept between the jagged rocks, his sharp green eyes narrowing as he caught sight of a group of lions. A rogue pride, battle-worn and restless. They were strong, scarred, and hungry. Survivors. And where there were survivors, there was opportunity. Scar watched them carefully, analyzing their movements. Their leader, a massive lion, stood at the center, his golden fur darkened by dust, his mane thick and wild. A fresh scar slashed down his left eye, a deep wound that had not yet fully healed. He stood taller than the others, his presence radiating dominance. Scar smirked to himself. A leader, yes, but one that could be manipulated. Scar remained hidden in the shadows, listening to their voices. They spoke of their exile, their hatred for the Pride Lands, and their belief that no king could be trusted. Perfect. Scar waited for the right moment, then stepped forward. At once, the rogues turned on him, teeth bared, claws unsheathed. Their leader, Kozan, let out a deep, warning growl. "Who are you?" Scar did not flinch. Fear was a weakness. He stood tall, despite his battered frame, his emerald eyes gleaming in the moonlight. "Someone who can offer you more than survival." The rogues exchanged wary glances. Kozan's expression remained unreadable. Then he laughed, a low, rumbling sound that sent a shiver through the group. "You?" Kozan scoffed, stepping closer. He eyed Scar's worn-out body, his patchy, burned mane, his weakened form. "You look like a relic, a ghost of a lion who should have died long ago." His voice was amused but edged with warning. "What could a broken thing like you possibly offer us?" Scar's smirk deepened. This was exactly what he had anticipated. He took one slow step forward, his tail flicking lazily. "A kingdom?" Silence. The rogues stiffened. Their hungry eyes gleamed with interest. Kozan let out a sharp breath, unimpressed. "A kingdom? And where exactly is this kingdom?" Scar tilted his head, feigning sorrow. "Stolen!" The way he said it, low, smooth, like a whisper in the dark, made the rogues lean in, eager to hear more. And so Scar spun a tale of betrayal. He did not tell them the truth, not of his failure, nor of how he was defeated by Simba and cast into the fire. No, he told them a different story. He spoke of a rightful king, himself, who had ruled with wisdom and strength, only to be betrayed by a jealous nephew. He painted Simba as a usurper, a foolish cub who had returned to steal what was not his. He described how the hyenas, his trusted allies, turned on him, manipulated by Simba's lies. How he was left for dead, abandoned by those who once swore loyalty to him. Scar's voice was smooth and hypnotic, his words wrapping around the rogues like vines. He did not beg for their help. He made them believe that helping him was their destiny. "The Pride Lands are weak," he murmured, his tail flicking behind him. "Their so-called king is nothing more than a cub pretending to be a lion." He lifted his chin, his green eyes flashing. "Join me, and we will take what is ours." By the time he finished speaking, the rogues were no longer just listening. They were hungry for blood. The night stretched on, the whispers of war growing stronger. Kozan watched Scar carefully, his expression unreadable. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he smirked. "You have the words of a king," Kozan admitted. "But words mean nothing without strength." Scar's smirk did not falter. He had expected this. "I may not have the strength," he said, "but I have something far greater." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I have a plan." A glint of intrigue flickered in Kozan's eyes. A leader who could not be outmatched by brute force had to be outmatched by intelligence. Scar knew this. And Kozan, though powerful, was no strategist. He was a fighter, a lion who had survived by claw and fang. He needed someone like Scar, and Scar, he needed an army. A slow, wicked grin spread across Kozan's face. "Then show us, King," he challenged. "Show us how you plan to take back this stolen kingdom." Scar inclined his head, his green eyes gleaming in the dim light. "Gladly." By the time the sun rose, Scar was no longer a lone survivor. He was a leader once more. The rogues, warriors, hunters, exiles bowed to him that morning, not because they trusted him, not because they liked him, but because they believed in him. Scar had not just won over a pride, he had forged an army. And deep within the outlands, beneath the scorching sun and the barren lands, the first whispers of war began to stir. Scar's time had come, and this time he would not fail. Years passed. Simba ruled the Pride Lands, believing Scar was long dead. The pride flourished and peace returned, until one fateful night, a roar shattered the silence. Simba jolted awake. He rushed to the edge of Pride Rock, scanning the horizon, and then he saw them. Lions. Dozens of them, moving like shadows across the savannah, their eyes glinting in the moonlight, and at the front, a figure that should not exist. Scar. His mane was not the thick, royal black it once was. His body bore new scars, new wounds, but also new strength. Simba's blood ran cold. Scar was alive, and he had come to take back his throne. The Pride Lands awoke to war. Dark figures moved through the mist before dawn, their eyes gleaming like hungry jackals. Scar's army of rogues struck first, slipping past the outer defenses with ruthless efficiency. Chaos erupted. The lionesses, caught off guard, fought back with ferocity, but they were outnumbered and unprepared. Simba emerged from Pride Rock, his golden mane whipping in the wind as he took in the devastation before him. His home was burning, his family was under attack, and at the heart of the carnage, Scar. Scar stood atop a ledge, watching as his warriors drove the Pridelanders back. His green eyes burned with satisfaction. This was his moment. The years of exile, of suffering, of clawing his way back from the edge of death, all led to this. Tonight, he would finish what he started, and the Pride Lands would be his once more. Simba roared, charging into the fray. The ground trembled beneath his powerful strides. He would not lose his home, not again. Scar leapt down, cutting through the battle with deadly purpose. His claws gleamed in the moonlight, his movements precise, sharp, unforgiving. And then, at last, their eyes met. The past came rushing back in a storm of memories. A scarred uncle, a betrayed nephew, a kingdom torn apart by lies, ambition, and blood. This was no longer the cunning Scar that Simba had fought before. This Scar was a survivor, a warrior who had nothing left to lose. He did not fight for power anymore. He fought for vengeance, and that made him deadlier than ever. Scar struck first, his claws ripped through fur and flesh, forcing Simba to stumble. But Simba countered, slamming into him with the full force of his strength. Blow after blow, they fought, their roars shaking the very earth beneath them. Scar's movements were faster, sharper. He fought with the desperation of a lion who had already died once. His strikes were relentless. He did not hold back. He wanted Simba dead. Simba blocked a vicious swipe, panting. His body ached from the battle, but he stood firm. "You should have killed me when you had the chance, Simba," Scar snarled, dodging another strike. Simba's eyes blazed. "I'm not like you, Scar." Scar smirked, circling him. "That's your weakness." Lightning cracked in the distance. The battle around them raged on. But the world had shrunk to just the two of them, king against fallen king, past against future. Scar lunged, teeth bared, and then it happened. For the briefest moment, a single heartbeat, Scar's footing slipped on the loose stones. Just enough. Simba seized the moment. With one final earth-shattering strike, he launched Scar backward. The rogue king tumbled down, crashing hard against the rocks below. Defeated, Scar lay motionless, his breaths ragged. His body, once filled with fire, had finally betrayed him. Simba stood over him, his own chest rising and falling with exhaustion. A choice lay before him. Would he end it? Would he finish what had begun all those years ago? Scar opened his eyes, weak but defiant. He expected death. He welcomed it. But instead, Simba took a step back. "This ends today," he said. "No more blood." Scar's eyes widened in shock. Mercy. Even after everything, Simba chose mercy. The rogues, leaderless and defeated, hesitated. Without Scar, they had no purpose. One by one, they fled into the darkness. The Pride Lands stood victorious, and Scar was left alone. A shadow of the king he once was. A ghost of a legend that would fade with time. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, the Pride Lands reclaimed their peace. And Scar, the fallen tyrant, disappeared into the depths of history, his fate unknown. And that, my friends, is the untold fate of Scar. But what do you think? Did Simba make the right choice by sparing him, or should he have ended it once and for all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic Lion King what-if stories. Your support helps keep these tales alive. Until next time, stay tuned for more.